Welcome back to the Loft Conversion Challenge. Today's video covers 2 days as it's the plasterboard, plastering and installation of the windows. The plasterboard comes in large sheets, as you can see here coming off the truck, so you need a fair bit of space to be able to store them. This is standard plasterboard. You can get insulation backed plasterboard, which is useful in some circumstances, but we've already put the required amount of insulation in, so we don't need that. The smaller pallet that's being dropped off here is a moisture resistant plasterboard that's needed for the shower room. So that makes sure that you don't get any mould building up behind your tiles, and is absolutely essential that you use that special plasterboard in any wet rooms and kitchens. So jumping into the loft itself, the big thing today is we're going to be watertight completely because the windows will be installed. So these apertures were created when we built the timber structure, and then the guys came out and measured them before making these windows. So these windows have been made to measure and are now being installed by the guys. So the ensuite window's already been put in. So we go and have a look at that. You can see that it's been installed, but it doesn't actually have any glass in it yet. So the glass comes again in purpose-built, made-to-measure units, and they are sealed in the factory. So that means that they have the right insulation capacity, and that you're not going to get any drafts and leakages or issues with that. So they'll put the windows in a bit later, and then the actual glass, and then they will seal that all through with rubber gaskets which go on the outside. So you can see the guy here is actually cutting the external window sill. So he's put the frame in already, but the sills have to be cut down to size and then are put on, and they go on the outside just to make sure that the water runs and drips away. So looking at the rest of the room, the guys here are still installing the plasterboard. So as we saw outside, it comes in large sheets of about 2.4 meters, and these are basically screwed to every surface that needs them. So they're put on all the walls, and so you can see here around the window it's all been fitted, and on the ceiling up here. So these are screwed into place, screwed into the joists that you saw previously that the room has been constructed with. So you can see here the joists are still showing at the bottom. So these are all screwed securely into place, and the key thing here is not to have any gaps between the plasterboard itself, because if you do, it will create cracks. So looking up at the ceiling here, it's all been fitted nice and tight. Go over to this corner. You can see it's all different sizes that have been cut, but the key issue really is to try and minimize the gaps between these sheets, because when you come to a room and you find that a crack keeps reappearing every time you fill and paint it, it's because it's not been done properly. So you can still see the insulation underneath here. This hasn't been finished yet around this window. They've fitted the board all nicely down into the reveals. So this has been done, nice square job on this. So this is now ready for the guys to come and put some scrim tape. So they will put tape that's like fiberglass tape that goes all across the joints to make sure that there's no movement and no cracking. But having a look in our purpose-built cupboard here, you can see that they haven't fitted the board at the end yet, but all the board's been put down to the bottom. We're going to have a bit of skirting board running across the back section of this angled eaves cupboard. So that's been built up to enable us to be able to put that on there. And then in our cubby hole study stroke dressing room area, hasn't been done yet. And then we've got our built-in wardrobe, which will also be plastered in fully as well. So moving through to the bathroom, the one thing they've done today, they've installed the shower tray. So this has to be put in before the boarding and before the tiling. We've built a little recess here. The shower itself, the room's 1.5 meters across, and the shower tray's 1.2, which we've done that deliberately to enable us to have a cubby hole to put all of the shower gel and shampoo bottles and whatever else you need in the shower. and it's quite a deep recess we've got. And then looking underneath the shower, we've fitted the black pipe here is the waste pipe that will take the water away from the shower, runs to the external wall and will join into the foul water outside the house. So now we're on to the plastering, and this is when things can get really messy and your floor protection becomes very important. And I'll just walk up the stairs here. You can see that we've got a lot more dust, dirt, debris, because the plaster is messy, it's wet, gets on the bottom of people's shoes and they walk it through. So it's really important to get your floor protection in. But the loft has started now, so it's all been boarded. So we can see here in the stairwell, we've still got the board is still exposed, hasn't been plastered here. And what we've got first here is some bonding. So where you've got gaps, or you're needing to level off, or you need to have a bit stronger for surfaces, then they need to put some bonding in. So these areas here have been bonded, so they have it's a thicker, stronger mixture which will then form rock hard. So this is now set, so this is all ready to be plastered. So this area here is still to be plastered, so the whole of the stairwell's not been done. But if we go into the room, the guys have now actually finished all the plastering in here. So we can see that everything has now, all the board that was here before with the insulation on it has all now been completely plastered through. So see the first fix plumbing, so you see these two pipes that come out for where the radiator is going to be. So it's important, you know, the size of your radiators before you do that, so that you get a nice clean finish where the pipe comes straight out the wall rather than having to come through the floor and having your carpet being cut around it. So everything, all the walls have been done here, as we see, you can turn around, and the ceiling's also been done. So there's a couple of nice finishes in the ceiling. So over here where we've got our pitched roof, you should be able to see there's a nice curve that they've created. So up here it's curved rather than having a straight edge, which would always tend to crack. They've done a nice curved finish, which is a nice, it looks good, and also should be better in the long run for less chance of splits and cracking appearing here. So everything's been done. We've got our design. This is what could be a small workspace area or a dressing table area. We've got set back, which would be dead space normally. Sometimes these are used at the top of stairwells for a little landing, but we thought it would be better having it in the room. People are working from home more these days, so it's a potential workspace, really useful little space. I mean, we could make it into fitted cupboards, but we didn't want to. Next to that, we've got the built-in wardrobe, so that's been built. The landing, where the top of the stairs finishes, you have to have a minimum of 850 millimeters, for safety measures for building control. So we thought that because the doorway had to come that far forward, this space was going to be lost. So making it into a wardrobe is ideal. So we will have a hanging rail sort of across the middle piece here, and then put 3 shelves above that. We'll have some nice doors, and it's got a bit of extra height inside, so it'd be useful space. We have a look over the window reveal. It hasn't been finished yet, so this is the trim that's put around all of window reveal. So it's a metal 90-degree trim that goes round, which will ensure that the plaster doesn't crack off. So you can see the edge of that is still visible here. The guys will plaster in here and plaster up to that, so that will disappear and be able to be painted in. So that needs to be done still tomorrow. And then in the bathroom, this is all going to be tiled. So in here, we've still got the original structure with the timber, the insulation. The ceiling has been boarded because that will be plastered, but it hasn't been done yet. The rest of this room, we're going to have the shower on the left, sink vanity unit in the middle, toilet on the right. You'll see the pipes are now in for the radiator, so they're sticking out. Just have a look at that. They're sticking out of the timber. So when we do the tiling, they'll be the tiles will be cut. They'll be fed through. So the plaster's now done. It's just drying. This will take a couple of days
to dry off. It's actually the weekend now, so they've got a bit of time for this to dry. When they come back on Monday, there'll be a bit more plastering to be done out in the stairwell and the ceiling of the bathroom. But once this is dry, we're now into second fix. So it's a case of finding where we left all of these cables. If you remember, there's cables in these walls. So we've got plug sockets to come in this corner here. We're having one on the other side of that doorway. There's a couple on here in case we want the bed, one in that corner, couple on that back wall. So where we've done a map, we'll cut a hole, pull the wire through, and then fit in the sockets. And the same, we've got the light switches have been actually cut out already, so you can see here, this is going to be the main switch to the room. Out here, there's going to be in the hallway, this will be the landing switch. And then round here where we've got our cubby hole, we've got a switch for switching those on and off as well. So come next week, we will start the painting and the second fix.